Since the Uniting for Ukraine program went into effect, we've been helping some people and answering some questions about being a supporter, which I'll explain more, and filing that form I-134. So let me share some of that information. Hi, I'm SohYoon Atac. I'm an attorney and one of the founders of Adam Law Group. We release videos about the law, including immigration. If this is of interest to you and you want to know more about how the law can serve you and potentially help others, especially in this case, please subscribe. Uniting for Ukraine. As you're probably aware, this is a new humanitarian program to help those Ukrainians displaced by Russia's war. For a Ukrainian to be allowed to come to the US under this Uniting for Ukraine program, which means they can be let in for up to 2 years, and once they're here, they can apply for work authorization in the US, they must first have a supporter in the US. So how do you become a supporter? First, you must file the form I-134, Declaration of Financial Support, with USCIS. So that is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services of the US Department of Homeland Security. The good news is there's no filing fee for this, and it's filed online via the My USCIS online portal. So we'll have a link below for the online filing. And you have to include information about yourself as well as the person, the specific information about the person that you are supporting. And immigration calls that person the beneficiary. So along with the form I-134, you need to include supporting documentation showing that you qualify as a sponsor, meaning that you have enough financial ability or capacity to support the beneficiary for the duration of the stay, which is likely going to be 2 years. According to the US government, supporters must pass security and background vetting by the government and demonstrate sufficient financial resources to receive, maintain, and support the Ukrainians they commit to support. So who can be a supporter? The supporter must be a US-based individual. And a key concept here is that you must actually be a person, because only a human being can sign on the I-134, not an organization. You can be a representative of a non-governmental organization, but it's still a person that signs the form I-134. US immigration-wise, a supporter can be anyone with any lawful status, a parolee or someone with deferred action. So this includes, of course, US citizens and nationals, lawful permanent residents or green card holders, including conditional residents, non-immigrants in lawful status, which means that the person has not violated the terms or conditions of their non-immigrant stay. So it can be like an F1 student or an H1B, L1A, E2 worker, or any non-immigrant status that is being maintained. This can also be asylees, refugees, parolees, TPS holders, and any person with deferred action, such as DACA or Deferred Enforced Departure, or DED. So this isn't just for US citizens or permanent residents, but it's really a possibility for many, many people in the US. A supporter must have enough financial ability or capacity to support the Ukrainian for the duration of the stay, which I mentioned is likely going to be 2 years. So what does this mean? It's not entirely clear, so let's break it down a little bit. Financially speaking, do you need to have a specific amount of money? No. The Uniting for Ukraine program does not have a specific threshold amount. It just states that you have to have sufficient income, so you're earning enough money, or financial resources to support the beneficiary during the period of stay. So what is the support that should be provided? Well, our government provides 5 examples, and I'm going to either paraphrase or read them to you. So examples of support include receiving the beneficiary upon arrival to the United States and transporting them to initial housing, ensuring that the beneficiary has safe and appropriate housing for the duration of their parole and initial basic necessities, as appropriate, helping the beneficiary complete necessary paperwork, such as for employment authorization, for Social Security card, or for services for which they may be eligible, ensuring that the beneficiary's healthcare and medical needs are met for the duration of the parole, and, as appropriate, assisting the beneficiary with accessing education, learning English, securing employment, and enrolling children in school. So that seems like it can be kind of the basic necessities to so much more. So it's really not particularly clear. And the government states that these are just examples. So based on this, let me share with you some of the questions that I've gotten from people already. So one person said, that they read online that they should put the entirety of this, literally copy and paste these 5 examples into the form I-134, when they're filing. And I don't think that's necessary. In fact, I think that's not a good idea. So you do not need to do that. These are just examples given by the government. Someone else told me that they also read online that in the form I-134 that they need to put that they'll be giving like $500 a month to each beneficiary for the duration of their stay. Again, no, that is not necessary, and I highly advise against doing that, in fact. So I think what's really important is that for each supporter, the support that you provide may come in different forms. But I think what's really important is to think about kind of the basics, that when you have a visitor, I think at a most basic level, you want to account for their housing and food. So while there are many things that you can do and different ways to provide this, I think it makes sense to start thinking carefully about your ability to provide at least those, whether it's in your own home or through a partnership with a nonprofit organization or otherwise, and start from there. So let's talk about some further considerations. A supporter can support more than one Ukrainian so long as you meet the requirements for each beneficiary. Also, a group of people can come together and pool their resources collectively to support a Ukrainian. And here, the primary supporter, so one person, would sign the form I-134 and have evidence showing the identity of and the resources to be provided by the additional supporters. And other supporters involved in this group should attach a statement explaining their intent to share in the responsibility. And when you do this, USCI says that they will assess the group of supporters as a collective in determining whether their ability is really there to support a beneficiary or not. Similarly, an organization or other entity can provide financial or in-kind support. So you can provide that information when you're filing the I-134. But again, still, a person has to sign the form I-134. Also, if the I-134 is found insufficient, the great thing is that you can just file again, and I wouldn't file the same thing, so you should file with more evidence and try again, either for the same beneficiary or for different ones. So I want to point out here that while I'm sure you take the responsibility of being a supporter very seriously, I think a good thing about this program is that compared to the I-864 affidavit of support, which some of you may be aware of, which is also to do with financial supporting or sponsorship, that's an enforceable contract. But this form I-134, while you have to provide information about you and your financial ability and things like that, this is not an enforceable contract in the same way at all. So while, of course, it's a serious responsibility, it's not a contract that the United States government or the beneficiary, the Ukrainian, can sue you or something like that. So I think that also gives you more, comfort as you are doing this good deed of being a supporter for a Ukrainian that is displaced by the war. While there are certainly some negatives to the internet, I'm also amazed at how people come together through technology and different media to share and pass on emerging information like this Uniting for Ukraine program to be helpful to others. So I hope you found this informative if you're considering being a supporter for Ukrainian, or maybe helps you be helpful to someone else who may be considering this. If that's the case, please like the video and subscribe. Feel free to comment below if there are any topics regarding the law that you'd like to learn or know more about, because we're definitely looking at the comments as we consider what other videos to make. So I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.